there, and welcome to this discussion on gender identity and discrimination. Okay, here we go then. Alright, cheese gender, let's go, cat gender. Okay, I'll be here for a while, just so you know.
Okay.
Demi, boy, Demi,
You've got an hour.
girl, male, female. I need about 7, so I don't think I'm going to list gender identities, honestly, because it will take too long.
Try and add in gender fluid if
Yeah.
because that's like a pretty not many people not know what that is, and I feel like a few people get like quite upset because
fluidity. Cool, I've added that into the list. So I've got flags, understanding, xenic, chopstick, toilets, generations, dysphoria, too young, and fluidity kind of topics.
I don't know what any of that means.
that's okay.
Genuinely, I have no clue.
That's okay because I'm only new to finding out about like whole entire new different genders, but it's fun because then you can know what more people identify as, and you can learn about that.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, are we recording? I didn't know we were recording. Okay.
Hehehe. Funny. I have just been making frownies and smileys on my iPad and not even realising that we were recording.
I didn't know we were recording. So, flags as well. Like, people say that straight and cis people should use flags as well. And sure, that's all fun, but
That's fine.
Right, we did that purposely just to see what the audio was like coming through everything. Fine
Really?
now. So now begin.
That's cruel.
Because
So
we didn't.
I would say something like welcome to
this discussion.
discussion and today like you're all your friends and
We
relatives.
should probably introduce ourselves as well.
Good chums.
Yeah, that's good.
Ooh, good
So
idea.
I'm just going to say action. Leave it 5 seconds then.
We won't say our last names.
No, just do
No.
what
Say,
you want.
I'm Cass, I'm
Try
Rosie,
not to
I'm
fidget
Felix.
as well because you're banging things and that comes through on the audio. So just basically, end of the day, I'm going to leave it over to you and hopefully good luck with everything. Try and get your message across that you want to discuss because I think it's very important.
Maybe at the end we could say something like, you can make a change as well, so...
Absolutely. Whatever message you want to do, you are the
Landing
future.
bits.
You are the future, right? So
Can I say that at the end, please? Because I thought
we stay impartial and try not to bang or do anything like that. Can't.
Yeah.
And if we mess up, will you just cut it out from the...
We can edit anything, so don't worry about anything. Just be as relaxed as you possibly can, right? Because I know it's daunting. You're in front of a camera, you're in front of the
Yeah.
audience. But really, I think
We
the
are
message,
in front of each other.
the message that you want to convey is within you, right? So if I say action, and I'll leave it 5 seconds, and then we begin. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, everybody ready? Everybody happy?
Yep.
Yep.
We got this.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, action.
Hi there, and welcome to this discussion on gender identity and discrimination. I'm Cass.
I'm Felix.
And I'm Daisy.
Let's start off with why people don't understand, for instance, non-binary identities. What do you guys think?
Well, maybe some older people won't understand because a lot of the time in the past, people won't have, had a proper education on it, so they won't understand, they won't know what to say about it. They might think like, oh, well, you can't decide this now, you're too young. Oh, it's not like that, But, you can't blame them for it. They just probably haven't had a proper education on it.
Yeah, and people get raised by those people, and those people raise their own children, and that's why we have such bullying going on in schools these days. And
Yeah.
Exactly.
all this originated because of religion, actually, and it dates way back, thousands of years.
That's really interesting.
And yes, and they were like, hey, these things say you can't be gay, you're either a man or a woman or something like that. And it's become massive ever since, Roman Empire brought Christianity and the other Abrahamic religions, as well as the Ashfarid Empire and other empires like that. and they eventually spread across the world with colonization and everything, and now half the world is against the LGBTQ community. And
Exactly, and
That's not okay.
yeah, and gender identities as well. Like, you're non-binary.
am.
What are you again, Daisy?
I am a demigirl.
Okay, and I couldn't care what my gender is, so I think that's called cast gender. So if someone said you're a boy, I'd be like, okay, I'm a boy. But you know, if we were to say that in probably like 90% of the world's high schools, we would get bullied and picked on.
And they'll probably be like, we don't understand that. That's so strange. Like, pick one. Are you a boy or a girl?
And I get bullied on a very frequent basis for
Which
being,
sucks.
for instance, pan, polyamorous, and non-binary, and not having a gender. And we're not really going to go into sexuality too much because there's much more that go into sexuality, for instance, pansexual and everything, but there's also gender identities that people don't understand.
Yeah.
And pronouns. I mean,
Exactly.
you'll say my
Lots and lots of
pronouns
different
are they, them, and someone will say,
They, them is used in a... They, them can't be a singular thing.
But also
they,
they'll
them
ju-
is plural.
but they won't even like use your correct pronoun sometimes. They'll just be like, oh, have you seen Kenneth? Yeah, he's so weird. And you're like, but one, there's nothing wrong with being non-binary, and two, my pronouns are what I choose to use.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's neo-pronouns, and basically it's not very common that you even get someone who even knows what they are.
How about we talk about xenogenders? I
Yeah,
mean,
well, that
that's
kind of-
really discriminated against.
Yeah, xenogenders are definitely one of the most discriminated against and misunderstood
For
people.
viewers that don't know what xenogender / non-binary means, non-binary means you choose not to have a gender, and xenogenders is where you feel like your gender is an animal,
Described by a thing or a feeling or something like that.
anything, even an animal or an inanimate
Yeah,
object.
For instance, there's cat gender as one example.
Cheese gender.
And people, and people, even my dad, say that it's like people who identify with xenogenders or who are xenic are mentally ill, and that's a load of nonsense. There's absolutely no evidence to say that these people are mentally ill.
At
They
the
just-
time our dad said that, I
Yeah.
was actually xenic, so
Yeah.
that was
And
hurtful.
that must really, really hurt. That must
yeah.
it must really, really get to you, because you feel like you can't be yourself
And
and you can't act like who
Exactly.
you are.
At the time I was cat gender, and my dad was just like, yeah, but people who think that are mentally ill, and I'm just like, yeah, cheers a
And the
lot,
people
Dad.
who make jokes about that aren't even any better. I mean, they might be like, oh look, it's like
The cats.
it's the yeah, exactly.
to a
and
cat
then-
gender person.
Yeah, and then it might be like, but I'm not joking about that. I actually feel like that. So can you
And-
please not? Because
Yeah.
People
I don't joke about you. I don't be like, oh look, it's
It's
a boy.
oh look, it's Straighty McStraight pants. We don't say that in the LGBTQ plus
No,
community.
I mean we support all gender identities, and
if we let
unless
you,
they're specifically aimed to take the mick out of people. Attack helicopter, that is one of the big things that people mock xenogender people by saying they identify as an attack helicopter, which is absolute nonsense.
because even if you were like genuinely the gender of a helicopter gender,
Like helicopter gender.
but like people like homophobes, transphobes, you know, they do it on purpose. Like,
Xenophobes, yeah.
yeah, everything.
Absolutely outrageous. And then there's understanding. So there's some identities even I don't understand. I don't fully understand xenic and xenogenders.
Same here.
And some I don't quite fully understand. And yet I decide, you know what? Their opinions are valid. Their identity is valid.
I
Even though I
They're
don't
so,
understand
so,
them.
so
And I
valid.
sometimes even do research on it. I find out what it means. I ask them. And like, that's how I found out what xenogender is. And even now I still don't properly understand it, but I accept it.
I mean,
And the
I'm
thing is-
absolutely the same.
My grandparents, on my paternal side, they say, I'm too young, and that this is where it gets
Oh
difficult.
my goodness.
Our
Too
maternal grandparents as well, but are fine with it. I mean,
Yeah.
even Grambo's fine with it, and he's a lovely man. He's a chef. Hang
Yeah.
on, I'm getting
You are too
drifting away.
young is one of the worst things that you could say to somebody.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
it makes them feel that later in life they cannot express themselves because, like, say if somebody has been a male their whole entire life and then they get to an older age and they're like, I don't think I'm a male, I think
Yeah.
I might be this gender.
And
And then
people-
they
yeah.
feel like, no, you're too old, you can't change it now, you're still a male. And it's just like, well, that isn't very nice. Please, can you just let me be who I need to be?
And
Yeah.
what was the statistic? I think it was like, it was a high proportion, but of suicide rates from people who are in the LGBTQ plus community. It's from people who aren't respecting their pronouns or gender or sexuality.
I know, it's
Exactly.
absolutely horrible, and they just chase after these people,
Like-
and they just make them feel like they
Don't
can't be
belong.
themselves. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's other forms of discrimination where this has happened. Ableism, sexism, racism.
And not lots
All
of different
these.
types of discrimination. Like,
And they just, often they get thrown to the side like, oh yeah, that happened anyway. It's not something...
it's
yeah,
not something
like
that you
back
can't
in the-
just
yeah.
pretend that doesn't exist. It's
Back in
something
the
that you need to get into.
Back in the COVID pandemic, I mean, sorry if I'm drifting off a bit here, but when that police officer in
Oh, yeah. George
America
Floyd.
kneeled on a person of colour's throat and killed him, he just pretended it like nothing happened. Everyone just brushed it off their shoulders.
Yeah.
Oh, yep, let's move on.
After
It's horrible.
over
Yeah.
a year, that man got arrested. And it's not with racism, it's with homophobia and sexism and transphobia. And it's horrific. There's some countries where you will be killed because of your sexuality or gender identity.
I mean-
like, there's loads. Like, Iran, you might be killed. This isn't just limited to the Islamic countries as well. I think Serbia, it's punishable. Or no, not Serbia. Some other place in Europe. Hungary and Poland, they've got very strict rules on being like LGBTQ plus. It's one of it's really bad. They're
But
really notorious.
another
for it.
thing is, Poland has the most amount of churches in the world, and like you said, religion has caused a lot of homophobia.
Maybe
so
all of it.
yeah, exactly. So
The thing is, though, there's so many different types of gender identities that it's kind of just a bit like, it's just a bit stupid to go against it all, because there is like thousands and millions of people who identify as this.
And
so
there's-
it's kind of just you against the millions of those people, and you're making them feel like you can't be themselves. And
And then
all
there's-
these
oh, yeah,
people, and all these people are saying, "Oh, we are all equal. You can be yourself. We are all different." And yet, so some of those people are like, "No, it's male or female. No, you can't like men. You can't like both. You need to pick one. You need to choose."
Exactly, and
Yeah.
that brings us on to like toilets as well. Like,
Oh yes.
so as a non-binary person, it's hard for me to choose because I was assigned male at birth, but
everyone says go in the male bathrooms.
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily, and
I-
so whenever I can, I just use a gender-neutral or disabled toilet, and obviously. Like,
I mean,
some people
disabled
can't
toilets-
use disabled toilets because they're not neurodiverse or disabled.
They should be renamed to.
Inclusive toilets. And in
Yeah.
my school, they called it an inclusive toilet. So
Which is
anyone who has a bit of gender dysphoria or anything like that can go in it. And there's also gender fluidity.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
and
where you
there's,
like change your genders, different days,
Yeah,
weeks,
everything.
months.
periods, and there's also there's trigender, there's pangender,
Yeah,
and there's also bigender.
you can be multiple
Anything.
genders. at
And
the
for
same time.
people who don't know what being gender fluid or having or being bigender or trigender or pangender, it so trigender means you are all three of, so you are male, female,
Not even just those three. It
Yeah,
can-
any
could be any-
gender,
any
choose
three
gender and
gender
vote gender.
identities.
and by gender, any two. And gender fluid, we basically just explained it. So,
You change.
like 1 week, you could be like, I'm feeling like
A boy, and then the next week
I feel like a male, and then the next, and then
Next
the next month, you could be like, I'm non-binary.
and you could be like, I don't have a gender this week, and then 2 weeks later you might be like, oh, I'm cat gender now. That's a xenogender.
Yeah, and just moving on from different genders and going on. And it's nice because you're like, well, it's kind of a word to express yourself with. And it's really nice because it's like, well, I know that I'm not strange and I know that I'm not weird and I'm not changing it all the time. I'm gender fluid. And this is what's
Tangender
happening.
is just all
Exactly.
genders, every single gender.
Yeah, and sometimes when you are 3 or all or 2
Yeah,
genders, it's where it's like sometimes you might feel like you're a bit more of a male, but you still feel non-binary and female.
that's fluid flux. So
Yeah.
if you're fluid flux, you can. So I was once tri-gender fluid flux, which is a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah.
So I identified with 3 gender identities, and what that means is I would be 3 gender identities, and that would vary. Though it would vary between those 3, except it would only feel slightly stronger for the one I identified with more that day. The other 2 would still be there, just less strong, essentially, if you understand what I mean. And if you don't, Google it. No, and research, that's also a really good thing. You can research, if you don't understand something, you could either ask someone you know who identifies with that gender identity,
Yeah.
or like you could do your own research on it. You could find out what the definition means, and then you could get into a full-on click hole of like
different gender identities.
you could be like, oh, so that's what xenogender means. I wonder what some of the subcategories are. And you find out about noun genders. Then you find out about all those different genders. And then you're like, wow, I wonder what kind of non-xenogender genders there are. So
Yeah.
you do more research on that. And we sat there for hours. I should know. I once sat there for like 3 hours finding out about gender identities when I first
And-
came out as
Yeah.
Vincian or gay. And my identity has changed throughout, and about just over 2 years ago, 2 years ago-ish, I figured out, you know what, I think I'm Libra feminine, which is where you're agender, so no gender, but you're slightly feminine. So that's what I figured out was mine. And polyamorous, which means you can have you could go out with one or more people. And right, polyamorous is where you go out where it's 3 people or in a relationship or more.
Polyamorous is not the same as
Polysexual is different.
Yeah.
Polysexual is where
it's-
you like a certain amount and certain
Yeah.
gender identities, most but not all. And what people think about polyamorous, isn't that just cheating? Well, no.
No.
So let's say, I don't know how to describe this. Let's say you've got like a little triangle with each of the points, each of like the vertices or corners are connected by lines. Those lines, so the little points or vertices or corners, whatever you want to call them, could resemble people in the relationship, and the lines represent where love is going, essentially. And you could have a square with a cross through it. You could just even have a square, because
You can have like certain rules in the relationship as well.
like
And
some people might look like
if
other
you're-
people in the
and if
relationship
you're
and just be
feeling-
friends. It's
And
very-
if you're feeling, and if somebody is feeling like certain amounts of jealousy, then they can just talk about it. It's not cheating. It's just being like, you might love 2 people, and they might love you and or each other, and then it shouldn't be like, no, you need to pick one, or no, you can't do that. You just need to find another person who only likes one person at a time. And it's just, no, because they need to find a way to love the people that they love.
Yeah,
It's-
exactly.
It does sound kind of complicated when we're going so deep into it as this. But really, it's all just about finding yourself and finding out who you are and want to be.
It's the same with like being same gender couples. Like people a lot of the time say like
Who's the boy and who's the woman in the relationship to a pair, like a couple of men? And a good way to analyse it, or analyse
Think of
it, I
it.
suppose, is think of a pair of chopsticks. Which one's the fork and which one's the knife, or which one's the fork and which one's the spoon?
Chopsticks.
neither.
Neither, exactly. You
The,
can't really choose. And what people say sometimes is, why are you gay? Why are you straight? Like, why are you straight? And they might say, because it's the natural thing to do. And you
That's
go, well, obviously
nonsense.
this is natural because I'm a human and I'm natural, so it's natural. And people come up with all sorts of excuses. And once my friend's brother said, oh, you can't be pansexual because it's not naturally human. And I said, well, of course it's naturally human. I'm a human, aren't I? And he was like, yeah, well, but... And I was like, no buts, Benedict. You shush. And
little boy.
yeah, shush. And he couldn't think of a way to come back. And
He just left.
if you, like, there's so many ways you can, like, fight back to homophobes and bullies and transphobes and people like that. And
But at the end of the day,
You shouldn't
it's just
have to.
you being yourself. It's like...
You shouldn't
not-
have to fight back at them.
It's almost like, so imagine somebody... Oh, and the stereotypes as well. Like, some people would see,
Yes.
like, a blonde girl who is quite, like, girly,
quote marks.
and they'd say...
in quotation marks. I just said girly,
Yeah.
just so you all know.
Yeah.
Quotation marks.
Quotation marks. Yeah, there were
And-
quotation marks there.
Very big quotation marks.
And, well,
There's no such
it's...
thing as girly.
Yeah, but, like, dressing up in, like, pink, and, yet again, in quotation marks, girl colour. It's not really a girl colour.
No such thing as gender colours.
I know, because my
Gender toys, or
my
gender
one of my little
things.
brother's favourite colours is pink, and he loves the colour, and I support him in that.
And
I
what,
have
what
people.
happens is, like, boys get the toy dinosaurs and racing cars, and girls get the princess things and everything. And
Yeah, so then you might see a blonde girl who's stereotyped like that. She might be wearing a dress. She might have she might be
makeup on.
quite with she might be quite happy in life, and then some people might be like, you're straight, you have everything going on for you, and then she'll be like, actually,
I'm not straight.
I'm not, and I'm not. So why do you think that? Just because I act like that, it doesn't mean that I'm straight.
Exactly,
It
and
do-
people
it doesn't mean
assume
it
as well.
doesn't mean that I'm a girl.
Yeah, and a difference needs to be made about it. And listeners, you can make a difference by standing up to bullies.
And people assume things as well.
Yeah,
And,
just the
like-
assumptions just pile on, and it's atrocious. It's
Like,
disgusting.
If someone dresses like quite camp, like a drag queen, they'll just be like, "Oh, you're gay, aren't you? Because you dress like
And you
like
might-
drag queens."
You
and
might not be.
Yeah, you're just like, no, I just like dressing up
I
like
just
a drag queen.
dressing like this. And it's just not very nice to assume that people who wear girly clothes are instantly part of the LGBT QIA plus community.
Exactly. And there's so much more we could go on about, but, like, if you want to know more about why this is, like, awful, just maybe do a bit of research as well.
Googly,
Yeah, because
googly, googly.
my bodies are not associated with gender, by the way. It's just a...
Gender is just like a term how you feel.
And sex, as in the body, is completely different. Doesn't matter.
It's like what your body is like. Typically male body
Yeah, in quotation marks.
and a typically
Quote-unquote female body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they have nothing to do with gender.
Yeah, it's just that they've eventually been changed by society, and they're like, right, that person's got this, so they are a girl. This person's got that, so they're a man. And then there's intersex people as well, and they get completely left out of the
Yeah.
They're just
Like
everything.
no, they
yeah.
don't matter.
everybody is valid. Everybody matters. And if anybody's trying to tell you that you don't matter,
Then
they are
Tell them
not
to shut
true,
up.
and they are.
if somebody wants to if somebody is homophobic towards you, or they are being they're being a transphobe towards you, then they're an idiot. Sorry, did I say that out loud? I meant their opinions can be contested by you.
You couldn't say to them, listen, that's not true. And if it keeps happening, tell an adult, tell a trusted adult.
And if you are an adult listening to this for whatever reason, then sorry, I've got no advice for you, but do something about it.
Yeah.
Don't stand there
Don't
and let it happen.
stand
And
there.
the homophobes also, when an ally sometimes reveals themselves to be an ally, sometimes we even go, yay, thanks for being an ally. We don't need to do that.
It's just like being a genuinely decent
It's
person.
just being a decent person.
It's just
it's
not
the bare minimum.
It's basically not discriminating against people who are trying to be themselves, who are trying to find themselves, and
And
who are
that's just
trying.
the bare minimum. We don't need to. Yes, we should appreciate them. Yes, we should get all the allies we can. But we don't need to clap them on and be like, "Yes, go you." It's just doing the bare minimum.
Because they should.
Genuinely just being a good
Because
person.
we should
Being a decent
expect them to treat us how we want to be treated, and if they don't, then that's not very. And actually, sometimes people who are in the LGBTQIA plus community. I keep
Bit of a mouthful.
It's a bit of a mouth.
Oh,
yeah.
just a disclaimer. If you're an ally, we're not saying that you're a bad person. I mean,
So yeah,
No.
yeah,
Yeah, thank you for supporting
but
us.
Well-
thanks for doing the bare minimum.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good thing to do, but
So
not good.
And yeah, that's all we've got to say really.
That's it for today, folks.
And so, but if you do want to find out more, there's loads of other podcasts that are probably better than us.
And
But yeah, we it's a bit. Don't know what to
you
say
can
here,
make a
really.
difference as well in this
Yeah.
world. You can make a change. You can stand up to bullies and make
And
this all stop.
if you're one of the people who don't understand,
Research
find-
more into it.
research into it. Yeah, ask people.
And
Please.
really, at the end of the day, we are all human. We all walk on this earth, and we all talk, and
We're all equal, no matter what we look, feel, or are like.
And you have to watch RuPaul's Drag Race, or else I might come to your house and do that. No, just kidding.
Nah, they're kidding. Don't worry, people.
What was that? Just like
You have to watch RuPaul's Drag Race.
Don't worry, people. Don't worry, people. Cass isn't
No,
actually
you
gonna
don't actually.
do.
so. Yeah, I think that's all we've got to say. Wow, we've been doing this for a long time.
We
It
have.
feels like.
How long?
Feels like
I
it,
don't
yeah.
know. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Well,
Right.
thanks for joining us
Thanks for
today.
joining us,
We'll
yeah.
see you
See you soon. Bye.
again. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Toodaloo.